Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
I'm tracking a cold front that gets close enough to us to bring us some thunderstorms tomorrow. We have a level 1 risk plus a chance for storms every day through the holiday weekend. I'll walk you through it.
With 24 hours to go before a move that's expected to eliminate DEI programs in the UNC system schools, Democrats push back. Next at noon, lawmakers share the ripple effect those programs have statewide.
And police in Durham are looking for the person who shot and killed a man last night. Next at noon, why investigators spent so many hours at that scene.
A lot to tell you about as we're tracking all these breaking news stories for you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you get outside today. There is a threat for severe storms tomorrow. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is on the WRAL weather patio right now, telling us who will be under that level 1 threat for severe weather, Elizabeth.
Most of us have the chance to see some severe storms tomorrow. Today, it's all out across parts of the Midwest and the plains. You can see north of Dallas, that orange area. That's where we have a severe thunderstorm watch, and we've had a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings along that. So that's what's headed our way. Now, the front will move slowly toward our area and then stall over the weekend. Not that we'll have a chance for severe storms every day, but we will have that potential for some scattered thunderstorms each afternoon. We'll take a look at Futurecast, and of course, Futurecast is showing us the potential for those showers and thunderstorms starting just after lunchtime tomorrow, and we'll see that continuing on through the remainder of the afternoon tomorrow. And then after that, of course, we'll be watching for each afternoon's potential for some severe storms. We do have that level 1 risk for severe storms, and that, of course, is from, say, Fayetteville northward. And we'll get to roll through Futurecast here, and you can see right after lunchtime, we start to see some of those showers and thunderstorms developing, and they'll continue to slide eastward. And then that level 1 risk for severe storms could bring us the potential for some damaging wind. That would be our biggest threat. Again, it's not that we'll have a chance of severe storms every day of the holiday weekend, but we will have the potential for a few isolated thunderstorms. And of course, we'll check that out in more detail coming up in just a little bit.
And happening right now in the WRAL Life Center, multiple people are dead after a tornado tore through a small town in Iowa. The damage in this town is so bad that they're actually keeping members of the media out of there so they can continue to assess the damage. But there were at least 20 reported tornadoes in the Midwest region. After devastating Greenfield, Iowa yesterday, the storms then moved into parts of Illinois and Wisconsin, knocking out power to tens of thousands of customers. Greenfield's hospital was among the buildings that were severely damaged in the town. They say they are still counting the people that have died.
Such devastation there, Michelle. Thanks for the update. In less than 24 hours, the UNC Board of Governors is expected to repeal diversity, equity, and inclusion requirements system-wide. Today, Democrats pushed back.
Lawmakers, business owners, and students held a news conference to make sure the board knows what those programs actually do for the state. WRAL's Eric Miller joins us live now from the state legislature. Eric, what was the message today?
Oh, Renee, Democratic leaders laid out a pretty long list of benefits here. Everything from mentorships to suicide loss support to free tutoring, all provided by DEI programs or DEI funding. These leaders also warned that there could be a business backlash if the Board of Governors goes ahead with this move. They wanted to remind people about the fallout from HB2, that so-called bathroom bill back in 2016. Other lawmakers highlighted a tie that they see between DEI and core American values. Take a listen.
The Declaration says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, that's diversity, are created equal.
What message does a corporation hear when we are declaring war against these values that so many businesses are striving to achieve?
Now, on the other side here, DEI critics in the General Assembly and on the Board of Governors, whose members are entirely appointed by the Republican-controlled legislature, argue that these policies can constitute anti-white discrimination and are trying to impose liberal values on students. Critics also argue that it makes it hard to have good faith discussions around topics like race and gender on campuses. Now, again, the Board of Governors is expected to take this vote tomorrow. We'll be watching very closely to see what happens there. Renee?
Eric Miller live at the state legislature.
Police are searching for the person who murdered a man in Durham last night. It happened outside a tobacco shop on Guest Road, just north of downtown. WRAL's Monica Casey is there now. And Monica, this scene was very active all night into the morning hours.
Yeah, Jeff, that's right. There was a lot of activity both last night and this morning here, and it covered a large area. Police say this man was shot in the parking lot of this tobacco shop that you see over here, but there were more than 20 evidence markers, many going into the road here. This is Guest Road, a busy street in Durham. All of this happened around 8:30 last night, and that man died here on scene. Broadcastify radio traffic shows the moment police arrived.
PD to EMS, we're going to be in front of the Walltown Tobacco. About a late 20-year-old male, gunshot wound in the head, weak pulse, about a minute ago. Still doing CPR.
Durham Police's most recent shooting data from this past Saturday shows shootings are down, but the number of people shot is up. At least 88 people have been shot so far this year, compared to 70 shot in mid-May last year. At least 16 people have been killed by gunfire in Durham this year. Police have not yet released the name of last night's victim or news of any arrests at this time. Jeff?
Another dangerous night in Durham. Monica Casey, live for us in the Bull City. Thank you.
The Pentagon has provided an update on the temporary pier built by the U.S. military to get aid to Gaza. Authorities say at this point, no aid delivered through that pier has actually reached civilians. This comes after war crimes. Prosecutors accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of deliberately starving Palestinians. Another huge development today. 3 European countries announced they will recognize Palestine as an independent state. WRAL's Chris Lovingood has been gathering reaction to this. Chris, we're finally hearing something from the White House.
Well, Renee, a spokesperson said President Joe Biden does not believe unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state is the way to handle this. Instead, he believes negotiating is the method that should be used. With the leaders of Norway, Spain, and Ireland expected to formally recognize Palestinian statehood next Tuesday, this would be acknowledging that state's right to self-govern, to independence. In a briefing video, the Prime Minister of Ireland recalled how more than a century ago his country asked to be recognized as independent. He believes doing the same for a Palestinian state would make way for peace.
Today's decision to recognize Palestine is taken to help create a peaceful future, because a two-state solution is the only way out of the generational cycles of violence, retaliation, resentment, hatred, where so many wrongs can never make a right.
Now, Israel did not feel the same, as its country's ambassadors were immediately recalled back from the 3 European countries calling for statehood. And U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters today Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be invited to speak before Congress. Johnson says it's in the works to get a meeting set up as soon as possible. Renee.
Chris, thank you. Today, Iran's supreme leader prayed over the coffins of the country's late president, foreign minister, and other officials who were killed in a helicopter crash. Ayatollah Khamenei kissed and hugged the 2 young grandsons of President Ibrahim Raisi before blessing the casket. Crowds then rushed forward to try and touch the coffin.
The judge overseeing the federal classified documents prosecution of former President Donald Trump is hearing arguments on 2 separate bids to throw the case out. In the first motion, Trump's valet and co-defendant Walt Nauta alleges he is being vindictively prosecuted. In the second, Trump and his co-defendants argue the indictment suffers technical flaws requiring its dismissal. Special counsel Jack Smith accused the former president of taking classified national defense documents from the White House after he left office. Congressional Democrats are investigating whether big oil is colluding with OPEC to keep gas prices high. A ranking member of the House Committee on Energy and Commerce sent a letter to ExxonMobil, Chevron, ZHES, BP, America, and 3 other fossil fuel companies demanding a litany of documents. The New Jersey Democrat wants to find out if prices are being artificially inflated to boost profits. The oil companies have until June 5th to reply.
President Joe Biden has canceled another $7.7 billion of debt. This latest round of relief impacts 54,000 borrowers enrolled in the White House's saving on a valuable education plan. Nearly 67,000 teachers, nurses, and other public sector workers also saw their debt forgiven through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program.
Let's take a look at stocks. Not a whole lot of movement right now. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 67 points. S&P 500 down just 2 points. And NASDAQ in the green, advancing 9 points.
The city of Oaks will have one less oak by the end of the day. A tree removal crew went to Nash Square 9 o'clock this morning to take down a massive white oak. The city has been keeping a close eye on the growth of a crack at the base of that tree. It's believed to be about 100 years old, and officials say it has become a safety risk. Not every part of the tree will be reduced to sawdust. The larger pieces will be used within the city for art opportunities. Martin Street between McDowell and Dawson Streets will be closed until tomorrow afternoon. The city plans to take down another problematic oak this Friday after several neighbor complaints. We told you about this tree near Roanoke Park in the 5 Points area yesterday. Large branches have fallen from this tree. One crashed through the sunroof of a car parked underneath it. No one was hurt.
Next at noon, Louisiana lawmakers want to classify abortion drugs as a controlled substance. The jail time proposed if people there are caught with them illegally.
Also, apparently NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers had a chance to become a 2024 vice presidential candidate. He chose football instead. We'll tell you what was behind his decision.
Plus, investigators are still looking into a major crash at 12:30. What happened at this Raleigh intersection that killed a person?
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
A bill that would make abortion pills a controlled, dangerous substance in Louisiana is headed to the state Senate there. The measure passed overwhelmingly in the House last night, and if approved, the governor is expected to sign it into law. Hallie Jackson reports anyone caught with the medications without valid prescriptions or orders from medical professionals could get up to 5 years in prison.
A new front line this morning in the battle over abortion access.
And the bill has finally passed.
Louisiana lawmakers moving forward with a plan to put 2 abortion drugs in the same category as so-called controlled dangerous substances like depressants and stimulants, criminalizing the possession of mifepristone and misoprostol used to induce abortions for anyone without a prescription.
When overutilized, this drug can be incredibly harmful.
The bill's author says his sister was given an abortion pill while pregnant without her consent.
My goal is certainly not to prevent women from getting the access to these pills when they need them. It is to simply say that when you're a bad actor in possession of these pills, that you should be held accountable.
But critics question how the state could enforce the proposal and warn it may have a chilling effect.
Let me tell you something. 50th in maternal outcomes is not pro-life.
280 Louisiana doctors in a letter say reclassifying the drugs is not scientifically based and creates confusion and misinformation, considering the drugs are also used after miscarriages and to induce labor.
Only a very small percentage of the time are they utilized for abortion care.
Louisiana already has one of the most restrictive laws in the country, banning both medication and surgical abortions, with no exceptions for rape or incest, only for the life of the mother. Since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, more than a dozen states have put in place stricter abortion laws, raising the political stakes on reproductive rights heading into November. Former President Trump, in a new interview, first opening the door to restrictions on birth control.
Do you support any restrictions on a person's right to contraception?
I'm going to have a policy on that very shortly, and I think it's something that you'll find interesting.
But hours later, backing off, making clear on his social media platform he does not support a ban on birth control and will never advocate for one.
That was Hallie Jackson reporting. Medical professionals say the medications have critical uses outside of abortion care, including preventing gastrointestinal ulcers.
South Carolina is now the latest state to ban gender-affirming care for minors. That state's governor signed a bill that bars physicians from providing hormone treatment, puberty blockers, and surgeries to patients under 18. The measure takes effect immediately. The new law also requires school officials to notify parents or guardians if their child asks to use different pronouns that do not align with their sex at birth. Americans now have a new way to report medical facilities that deny emergency care. The Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act states hospitals that receive federal funds must stabilize or transfer patients needing emergency care, regardless of whether they can pay or whether they have mental illness. Patients who believe they were wrongly turned away can file a complaint online, which triggers an investigation and could threaten the hospital's funding.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, we're following some breaking news out of Pennsylvania. At least 2 people are dead and 3 others are hurt after a shooting at a workplace there. This happened in Chester, Pennsylvania. That's about 30 minutes outside of Philly. A disgruntled employee walked into the family-owned linen business and shot 5 co-workers. This happened about 8:30 this morning. The shooter was arrested in a nearby town and taken into custody. We know of those 3 people hurt, at least one of them is in critical condition this afternoon.
New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers says he chose football rather than becoming Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s running mate. Kennedy met with Rodgers about the possibility of joining Kennedy's campaign, but ultimately named a Silicon Valley attorney and entrepreneur as his vice presidential pick. Rodgers missed almost the entire first season after signing with the Jets because he ruptured his Achilles tendon just 4 plays into his debut season last year. Staying out of politics and on the field.
Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is out on the WRAL weather patio, soaking up the sunshine. What a beautiful day.
It is a gorgeous day. I will tell you, when you step outside, you'll notice that it's hotter than yesterday. We're looking at temperatures at about 6 or 7 degrees warmer than they were this time yesterday. But it's still beautiful. We take a look at the patio here and the gardens looking beautiful. And, you know, the gardens are the azalea gardens officially, but there's so many things that bloom in these gardens all year round. And one of the things that's just beginning to be beautiful is the hydrangeas. The gardeners here have started to scatter the hydrangeas all in between the azaleas, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it feels so nice right over there in the shade. It's a little bit warm here without the shade. It's 85 degrees. The reason that our temperatures are so much warmer today than they were yesterday is that wind. The last couple of days, our winds have been coming out of the northeast, and that's been over some cooler water of the Atlantic, and that's brought in a drier, cooler air mass. And now it's coming out of the south-southwest, and that's coming across a tropical Gulf of Mexico, bringing that warm, humid air back into the region. It'll be, kind of slow getting there, but by tomorrow it's going to full-on feel like the middle of July. We are looking at a high temperature today, close to 90 degrees. It's a little breezy in places. That southwest wind is about 5 to 10 miles per hour, but gusting in the triangle to 18 miles per hour. So we'll see that on and off as we get through the day today. Our temperature right now is 85 in the triangle. It's 82 in Southern Pines. It's 83 over in Rocky Mountain. So mostly we're in the low to mid 80s right now. And that's about 5 or 6 degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday. So around town, 89 in Raleigh and Durham, 90 degrees in Fayetteville. We do stay dry today. It's tomorrow that we move into that wetter weather pattern, and we're going to take a closer look at that coming up in just a little bit. Of course, we're looking at a gorgeous evening for the Bulls game. It's going to be a little on the warm side, but it's not going to feel like July just yet. 84 degrees at around 6:30 at game time, ending up at around 8 p.m. still at 81. But it feels fine out here, especially if you're in a shady spot. Not so bad at all. And of course, they continue their homestand all the way through the holiday weekend. Right now, the dew point is 64. That's pushing steamy, and you can definitely tell a difference. Yesterday, it was lower than that. And so with a higher dew point, it means that we'll have a little bit of a heat index. It's going to feel like low 90s for the next couple of days and then mid 90s into the weekend. Tomorrow's high 92, and that would tie the hottest temperature we've seen so far this year. Earlier in May, we had 92 degrees as well. This is a look at the outline of our severe weather threat. It's going to be from the Sandhills northward up past the Virginia line. Damaging wind would be our biggest threat. It's going to be this cold front sliding eastward that moves in our direction, and that's going to bring us that chance for a few scattered storms. We'll start to see those breaking out just after lunchtime. Oops, trying to bite me, sorry, being on the patio. And so we have 6 p.m., that line of thunderstorms that comes through there on Thursday. And then after that, we'll have, again, that potential for isolated thunderstorms each afternoon through the holiday. And we'll go through each one of those days coming up in just a few minutes. I'm going to get some bug spray.
We'll need to get a bug zapper out for the WRAL weather patio.
Comes with the gardens, I guess,
Yeah.
insects.
It's also that time of year. All right, I don't have to worry about this quite yet, but one day today. Which cars are best for teenage drivers? Ahead on our News at 4, 5 on your side digs into a new report showing you the safest cars for the lowest price.
And then if you're a big fan of those buy now, pay later programs when shopping online, listen up to this. New rules are on the way to protect those purchases and your money. We'll explain on our News at 5:30. Still ahead this noon, children are our most valuable asset, but we're not doing such a great job teaching them financial literacy. So coming up, how a new app can help prepare them for how transactions and interest works.
AAA expects near record Memorial Day travel levels. What the Biden administration is doing to help reduce the stress for people taking to the road as summer travel heats up. At least one U.S. airline is getting a boost from Taylor Swift's European tour. And President Biden is making a move to lower prices at the pump this summer. Those are among today's business headlines with Maribel Aber.
President Biden is releasing 1 million barrels of gas from a reserve to try and lower gas prices over the summer driving season. The gas is part of a supply held in storage in the Northeast, and the reserve was set up after Superstorm Sandy knocked out refineries in 2012. The amount being released is equal to about 42 million gallons, which the White House hopes will drive down prices at the pump. Gas spiked in April as oil surged on fears of a war between Israel and Iran. Since then, prices have come down a bit. AAA's national average is $3.61 a gallon this morning, down 6 cents from a month ago. It's expected to be near record travel for the Memorial Day weekend. AAA forecasts 43.8 million people will travel at least 50 miles from home. That's up 4% from a year ago. And it's close to the record for the holiday. That was in 2005 when 44 million people crowded the roads and airports. It also tops pre-pandemic levels for Memorial Day. And that indicates it's likely to be a very busy summer travel season. As for gas prices, they're about 7 cents higher than a year ago. The national average now is $3.61 a gallon. Taylor Swift fans are giving United Airlines a boost. United says demand for flights to Lisbon, Portugal, spiked 25% this weekend compared to last year. So Swift is playing a pair of shows on her Eras tour in the city this weekend, and United says bookings to other European cities in Swift's tour, including Madrid and Dublin, are also surging. Tickets to the European shows are thousands of dollars cheaper compared to the U.S. concerts. StubHub shows seats for a few $100s to the Lisbon shows. And those are your business headlines. I'm Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ market site.
83% of teens don't know how to manage money, according to a recent study. But an online debit and chore app hopes to change all that. Busy Kid educates children about the value in saving, investing, and spending money. The creator says putting financial power in their hands as early as 7 years old with a debit card is the first step in fiscal responsibility. Once a child or teen has a card in their name, you can make a game plan on how to break up finances into different categories, like what to save, invest, and donate to charity.
They make a $10, $20 mistake, that's okay. But if you wait and now they're in college and they get this credit card offer and then they bury themselves in $3,000 worth of debt that they can't get out of, this is a big problem.
Financial experts say when children practice money sense when they're younger and learn how transactions and interest work, it's a much easier blow when buyer's remorse takes hold.
Traffic is tied up right now in East Raleigh after a 3-car crash overnight. When we can expect the road to open again coming up.
Senate Democrats are ready to take another run at passing border legislation. Ahead at noon, why Republicans are likely to resist the move. And here are winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen right now.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
We're learning new information about a crash in Raleigh that killed a person. Sky 5 flew over the scene this morning at the Atlantic Avenue and Millbrook Road intersection.
And that's where WRAL's Brett Neese joins us live as several lanes are still closed out there hours later now, Brett.
And Jeff and Renee, this all happened around 3:30 this morning, and traffic is still backed up because there are a number of lanes that are closed and they have traffic tied up for several hours now. I'm going to step behind the camera, show you what this scene kind of looks like right now. during the morning commute, it was just a mess because of some of the lane closures. But you can see this intersection, all these orange cones are blocking off where the debris is from this crash. You can see some of the different sand and other material that they put over a number of fluids that spilled in this crash. They're waiting for professional crews to get out here to clean the road more thoroughly before they can reopen it. At the time being, they are diverting traffic on northbound Atlantic Avenue. You see them diverting them through this Circle K parking lot. Let's get you to the video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, show you what this scene looked like around 3:30 this morning. That's when this happened. And the red car in this video ran a stoplight here on Millbrook Road at Atlantic Avenue, and that's when it crashed into a pickup truck. Both of those drivers went to the hospital. The driver of the pickup sadly died. The collision sent that pickup into a UPS semi-truck that was making its way through this intersection as well. The uncle of the driver of the red car showed up to the scene, could not believe how much damage was caused.
It's a tragic thing, you know. It's terrible. And I just wish, I wish this never happened, and I hope my boy get right.
So I'm working to learn a couple of things. I'm working to learn if that driver of the red car will face any charges in this crash. And I'm also working to learn the name of the driver who passed away. Jeff?
That was a horrific scene out there. Brett Neese live in Raleigh for us this noon. Brett, thanks.
Teachers and school staff are calling on Wake County leaders to add more money for schools in the coming year's budget. Wake County school employees made their voices heard at last night's public hearing on the spending plan. The county's proposed budget is about $14 million short of what the school system says it needs. Without the additional money, school staff say many are unable to provide for their families. A bill that would make wearing a mask in public a crime has hit a wall in the state house. Republicans say they won't sign off on it after it was passed by the Senate. State law currently allows you to wear them for health reasons because of an exception made during the pandemic. Some Senate Republicans want to get rid of the exception. The Speaker's office says the House will vote today against the Senate's changes. From there, a bill will go into a committee where the House and Senate could reach a compromise or drop it altogether.
Polls show the migrant crisis is a huge issue with voters. It appears President Biden and Senate Democrats want to revive the bipartisan border bill Republicans killed earlier this year. Rebecca Castor explains why this attempt at legislation may not get the bipartisan support it had in the past.
The latest Border Patrol data shows there were more than 179,000 migrant encounters at the U.S.-Mexico border last month, a notable drop from a record 300,000 in December. It's a big election issue, leading some lawmakers to once again call for action.
All those who say we need to act on the border will get a chance to show this week that they're serious about fixing the problem.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat, is teeing up another vote Thursday on a bipartisan border bill, which failed in February. It would raise asylum standards and compel President Biden to shut down the border if more than 8,500 migrants cross in a day. But Republicans killed the bill after former President Trump called it horrendous.
It'll actually make the border crisis worse. But what it does do is it gives Democrats an opportunity to say, look, we care about the border, even though they're doing exactly the opposite of securing the border.
President Biden is calling on lawmakers to pass the legislation this time, but it's clear it doesn't have a chance. Even if it passes the Senate, it's dead on arrival in the GOP-led House.
My message to him was it's too little too late. He should have taken executive action a long time ago.
But it appears the president is getting ready to do just that. According to Politico, the White House and DHS are finalizing executive orders to be announced in June, just in time for the scheduled debate between Biden and former President Donald Trump.
And Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is also not allowing any amendments to the border bill, a move that almost ensures it'll have a difficult time passing.
Daily fish oil supplements are a popular way to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. A new study finds that regular use may pose risks, though, for people in good cardiovascular health. Researchers in Britain follow more than 400,000 people for over a decade. Those without a history of heart disease who regularly took fish oil supplements had a higher risk of developing stroke and AFib, which is an irregular heart rhythm. Meanwhile, those with a history of heart disease who took the supplements had a 15% lower risk of progressing to more severe heart problems.
The first astronaut mission aboard Boeing's Starliner is grounded indefinitely. The reason for the holdup.
Plus, we'll introduce you to the first airline specifically created for dogs. What your pet can experience when flying Bark Air. Our team is working to bring you exclusive stories for coverage you'll find only on WRAL. Visit WRAL.com and search only.
It looks like a midsummer scene right there. Temperatures feel like it's summertime as you look live at Carolina Beach right now and watch WRAL News. Available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. Beautiful look there. NASA issued another delay for Boeing's Starliner spacecraft to give managers more time to evaluate a small helium leak in the ship's propulsion system. That helium leak was first detected during a launch attempt May 6th. NASA has not announced when the analysis might be complete or when another launch attempt might be made. The inaugural voyage will carry 2 astronauts to the International Space Station for a 10-day mission. A high school sports injury led this week's Teacher of the Week to discover her love for educating children. WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to a teacher who is always looking for new ways to inspire her students.
Miss Cheney, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Congratulations.
After the shock of our surprise visit subsided, Morgan Cheney, a third-grade teacher at Creech Road Elementary School in Garner, got back to doing what she's enjoyed doing since high school. Teaching little children.
I was originally going to college for English for editing, but then I found out I liked all the different subjects and I liked teaching, and what's the point of knowing something if you can't share it? Cheney
is always working to come up with new and different ways to improve the learning experience for her students.
At the beginning of the year, they didn't even know their multiplication facts, and they just sped through the NC check-in. They got their word problems done. They just knew, oh, that's multiplication. I can just do it, and they knew it right off the bat, and just seeing that transition from not even knowing something to being able to do it and apply it, it was really rewarding.
And how Cheney, just in her second year of teaching, got to North Carolina from Utah, where she grew up, is a story in and of itself.
I literally closed my eyes and pointed on a map. Like, I'm not kidding. I was like, East Coast, I can do that. It has a beach, has the mountains. I can handle it.
And handle it she has.
That's pretty cool.
And her students are all the richer for it. Ken Smith, WRAL News.
If you'd like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box. Chances are you've heard the name Banksy, but nobody knows his face. Now some of his artwork is vanishing ahead, where fans can go to enjoy his creations. And a new luxury airline appears to be barking up the right tree. How Bark Air is flat out pampering pups during domestic and international flights.
A new highway historical marker will recognize a pair of segregation-era beach resorts at the North Carolina coast. Seabreeze was established in 1922, Freeman Beach in 1951. Both are in the Wilmington area. For years, they were a summertime leisure spot for thousands of black visitors. The resorts closed in the 1970s after storms damaged many buildings there. This Friday, a marker will be set up in Seabreeze commemorating the resorts and their history. The ferry service to Ocracoke Island is expanding just in time for Memorial Day weekend. Routes between Cedar Island and Ocracoke and between Swan Quarter and Ocracoke have been increased to 8 departures each day. The Ocracoke Express passenger ferry begins service tomorrow between Hatteras and Ocracoke Village. It's also adding more trips. To see the schedule, go to ncferry.org.
Most traditional airlines require pets to be stowed in a crate under a seat or in the cargo area, which can cause anxiety for dogs and their owners. But one new airline is hoping to melt that stress away. Kevin Cork takes a closer look at how Bark Air is offering pooches a first-class experience.
Most dog owners love their pets like they're their own children, and one new airline is looking to capitalize off that devotion. Just in time for the busy summer travel season, Bark Air is set to begin luxury flights catering to pups.
A service for dogs of all sizes, as you can see, and they're people to travel long distances in comfort and in style.
Flying in general can be stressful for people and pets. let alone the trip to the airport and making it through security. But Bark Air offers a cozy waiting lounge filled with toys, and officials say the takeoff process is a real breeze.
Drive up to the airport, give us your bag, we get you on board right away, and it can be within 15 minutes of your arrival here at the airport in the air.
But the pampering really begins once pets are on board, besides receiving a bevy of specialty treats and doggy champagne.
You see the pillows and blankets all over. They're covered in pheromones that make the dog more comfortable. Even a spa treatment that happens in air.
Officials don't want to sell more than 10 tickets to make room for 10 dogs on the plane. The company is expected to offer flights from New York to Los Angeles and to London. So far, test flights have proved to be quite successful.
Kevin Corp reporting there, and all that peace of mind will cost you $8,000 for a one-way international flight, $6,000 for a domestic trip for one dog and the owner. One way internationally, so you leave them there.
Well, I perked up at the spa treatment, but yeah, I was thinking about borrowing your dog, Jeff. I just knew that.
Harley has no pockets, he's got no money, so he's out.
Well, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is out there in the WRAL Azalea Gardens soaking up the sunshine.
Yeah, it's a great day to be outside with your dog, and but maybe not flying on that airline. Oh my goodness, that looked so cool until you said how much it costs. Goodness gracious. We take a live look at the gardens. We've got some folks sitting there around the circle enjoying that shade over there. I'll tell you, shade is definitely the place to be today. Our temperatures already are at 85, and that's as warm as we got all day yesterday. So it is warm and sticky out there. We are tracking this cold front. We've been talking about this front all week. It's going to move slowly toward us tomorrow and then stall over the weekend. So we have a 30% chance Thursday and Friday and a 50% chance Saturday, 40 on Sunday. So we're going to keep that potential for some showers and thunderstorms going. It'll feel like a summer pattern. It's going to be hot. It's going to be sticky, and we'll see those afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Here's a look at where the front is right now. We do have some severe storms along that front, and a severe thunderstorm watch is that orange box that you see there. And we'll check out Futurecast again for tomorrow. Today is going to stay nice and dry, as warm and as muggy as it's feeling out here. We're not going to see any rain. But tomorrow, we'll kick this off at lunchtime. We'll pause it there at 3 o'clock, and you can see a little bit of a line starting to develop. This is 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock as it moves right through the region, and then finally exits around 9 or 10 o'clock. So we may have some scattered thunderstorms that are strong enough to be severe. Severe threat would be 58-mile-per-hour winds or stronger. So we could certainly see that for tomorrow. We don't have any specific threats yet for any other days during the week, but we are looking at the potential for some sunshine to start the day, maybe even through mid or late afternoon before we see thunderstorms starting up on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But again, for tomorrow, we do have that level 1 severe threat from Fayetteville northward. Damaging wind would be our biggest threat. And again, it's 30% Thursday and Friday, 50 Saturday, 40 on Sunday. So just kind of bouncing around with those chances for scattered storms as we get into the weekend. How much rain? Well, for the next 5 days, we'll likely have a total of around a half an inch to an inch. It will vary depending on whether or not you end up seeing some of those thunderstorms right over you. And here's something. It's going to be a holiday weekend. People are going to want to get outside. You're going to wake up in the morning. It's going to look like this with some sunshine, and then you may be caught at the pool or at the lake or somewhere. Download the WRAL app and set it for alerts. But also, if you hear thunder, you're in danger of being struck by lightning. At the pool, the lifeguard's going to pull you right out. Well, do that for yourself no matter where you are. Lightning is extremely dangerous. It's one of our top weather-related killers across the country. Also, look at the sky. If you see a cloud that looks like an anvil, it's a thunderstorm, and it may be headed your way. And you'll notice out ahead of it, we'll have a wind shift. The wind will shift directions, and it will start to feel a little bit cooler. That's another sign that a thunderstorm is potentially headed your way. Looking hot tomorrow, 92 degrees. It'll feel more like mid-90s. It's going to feel like mid-90s really all the way through Tuesday. Just getting into that summer pattern with those afternoon and evening thunderstorms all the way through Memorial Day on Monday and into Tuesday. But a little sneak peek beyond that, temperatures may cool off a bit, and I think we'll hold on to any of that cool air we can take, because July will be here before you know it.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, following some breaking news in Raleigh, a gas leak. This is happening on Spring Forest Road and Hargrove Road. You can see the whole area taped off. It appears throughout the corner by a Penske. You can see Raleigh Fire Department is there. We don't have too much information about what caused this gas leak or how many businesses in this area might be affected. We're going to work to gather that information and bring it to you as soon as we have it.
A new museum honoring the anonymous artist known as Banksy is now open to the public. Why the founder thought it was important to create the venue.
Winning Mega Millions numbers 2, 5, 8, 28, 69. The Mega Ball is 14. The Mega Plier is 2. We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today.
In less than 24 hours, the UNC Board of Governors is expected to repeal diversity, equity, and inclusion requirements system-wide. Today, Democrats pushed back. Lawmakers, business owners, and students held a news conference to tell the board what DEI programs do for the state. They pointed to mentorships, suicide loss support, and free tutoring.
Police are searching for the person who murdered a man in Durham last night. It happened outside a tobacco shop on Guest Road, just north of downtown. Our crew on the scene counted more than 20 evidence markers in the road. Durham police have not yet released the name of the person shot or news of any arrests.
The city of Oaks will have one fewer oak by the end of the day. A tree removal crew arrived in Nash Square in Raleigh around 9 a.m. to prepare to take down a massive white oak. The city has kept a close eye on the growth of a crack at the base of the tree. It's believed to be about 100 years old. Officials say it's become a safety risk. Not every part of the tree will be reduced to sawdust. The larger pieces will be used within the city for art opportunities.
Well, most people are gearing up for the Memorial Day holiday weekend, but the folks at Mars Wrigley are ready for fall. The company is introducing a few new treats for Halloween and bringing back a few favorites. Look for treats like pumpkin pie M&Ms and Twix Ghoulish Green and Snickers Pumpkins. According to the company, about 90% of millennials and Gen Zers plan to celebrate Halloween this year.
I will have all of that, please. A museum in New York City now boasts the world's largest collection of life-size murals showing off the works of street artist Banksy. The museum's founder says he had the idea before the pandemic. He says he wanted to preserve the work of the elusive artist because he feared the works would disappear if nothing was done to save them.
I think one of the beautiful things about not knowing who Banksy is that you don't project onto him. This art speaks for itself. This is simplistic, but it's very powerful.
It's unclear if Banksy has seen the museum, but the founder of the museum says he saw an Instagram post from a Paris account showing where the artist expressed approval of those copying his work.
Someday we'll find out. Shrouded in mystery still. You know, if you're looking for a beautiful tortoise-shell cat without the tortitude, we've got just the girl for you. Miss Callie is a relaxed sweetheart, happily will greet you at the door every day when you come home. She enjoys playing with small chaser toys and chin scratches. Once she truly feels safe with you, then she may even join you on the sofa for some TV time. She is hoping to find a quiet home so she can spend quality time with her family. If you'd like to meet her in person, you can fill out an application on the Cat Angels website.
All right, if you have a teenager living with you, you already know they spend a lot of time on their smartphones. A new study reveals teen girls use their devices for more than 5 hours a day. The study found that teen girls spent an average of 4 hours on social media apps. There was no notable difference in data between weekday and weekend use.
NBC News Daily is up next on WRAL. It's your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Enjoy the beautiful weather out there and have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.